Welcome to the Millennial Network Podcast. Now your host, Coach Danny Renee.
What's up, y'all? Coach Danny Renee here, and this is the Millennial Network Podcast. We have here Mitch Kamir from Atlas Express and EMO. So Mitch and Kamir, they do mentorship. They have a coaching business, young successful entrepreneurs. I met Mitch at a networking event. Hint, hint. That's why we're talking about the Millennial Network Podcast. So Mitch and Kamir, I don't know who want to go first, but how did you get into trucking? Like, why trucking?
Well, I got into trucking in 2017. Basically, my family was already into trucking, and they started their trucking career in 2007. I jumped in 2017, and from there, we ended up scaling uh, pretty fast within a 2-year frame. I got my license in 2017, bought my first truck in 2018. And then 2019, I got my own authority and was in control of my own mission. From there, me and my brother, we started our own authority in 2019 of July. And then we have scaled from 2 trucks in January of 2020 to 8 trucks now.
Wow. You said 2020 you had 2 and now you have 8?
2020, January of 2020, I had 2 trucks.
Okay.
Now
And
we have 8.
when you say you've gotten started in trucking, were you driving or you just bought a truck?
No, I bought a truck in 2018. I started driving in
Okay.
2017.
Gotcha. Okay, so yeah, you've had the experience on the road to where it gives you the ability to mentor others.
That's correct. Hmm.
Got you.
That's the
Okay.
main reason I stayed so long. I stayed a whole year to get as much experience as I can before I bought my truck. Not knowing I was going to scale this fast, but when we got our trucks or whatever, we end up starting up under a company, working up under a company. Even though we had our own trucks, we leased on to a company for a while, and then we seen that it wasn't the thing for us. We wanted to control our own destiny. So in
Okay.
2019, we got our own authority. And
Gotcha.
we pretty much made all the decisions from 2019 to now.
So what's an authority? I hear truck drivers say that often, but what's your own authority? Explain that to me.
Okay, so when you lease onto a company, you're actually working up under their MC and DOT number. So, they have control of, the loads that you take, your insurance, things of that nature. When you have your own authority, then you become the company that actually talks to the brokers or the shippers and receivers if you have those type of loads. And basically from there, you control where you go. You know what I'm saying? You decide if you want to take a load, if you don't want to take a load. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, and that's what your
So you
own
make all the
authority
decisions, but
with
you
your
have
with
the
your own
responsibility of
authority.
all the paperwork too. Hmm.
Gotcha. Okay. So how did you and Kamir get together? Because my first time meeting you, right? Um I saw you from a distance. I can't remember exactly what I said, but I'm just like, hey, you here? You ain't talking to nobody. And he was like, what? I already know everybody here. Because I'm like, how you going to be at a networking event and you sticking to yourself? You eating food on your phone? I'm sorry, I'm calling you out, right? But I'm just like,
See, come here,
dude.
hey, KB, no, I call him KB. KB, no, that's exactly me. That's why he laughing. He's like, what is this dude? He at networking events, ain't talking to nobody. He's still doing
Right.
that. But yeah, let me
So,
let KB introduce himself too, real quick, before we
yeah.
get
So,
into that.
how did y'all, so KB, introduce yourself and how did y'all come together?
Yeah, we're gonna get into that. Appreciate you, Danny. Yeah, so my name is Kamir Bowen. When I do these introductions, the go-to, my main thing, I guess, is I'm the college dropout, right? So
Mm-hmm.
pretty much, I was at North Carolina A&T. Shout out Aggie Pride. It's a small HBCU in North Carolina in Greensboro. I went there for school. I was doing electronic technology. I'm thinking, I'm gonna get a good, corporate job. My background, I'm a real tech nerd. I like all things computerized. So, I'm just
Mm-hmm.
doing the American, dream, I guess, as they say, go to college, get a good job, and get a degree and live your life. That was my plan. Um, Unfortunately, during the pandemic, 2020 hit at a HBCU. We don't have the same funding. I see in the background you want the Georgia Southern.
Georgia State, the
Georgia
real
State.
G
Oh, my
shit. Get it
fault. State, not
right.
Southern. Oh man. But
Right.
but yeah, so perfect example. So Georgia State is technically considered a PWI. You guys have way more funding. At a
Hmm.
HBCU, we don't have the same funding that a PWI has. So what happened was when the pandemic hit, they dropped all our classes. So at this time, here I
Wow.
am, June. I'm going into my senior year. I was like second semester junior. I probably got like 8 classes left. Right, I'm almost to the finish line. Pandemic hit, boom, we get the notification. Yeah, unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, we're gonna have to drop all you guys' classes. I'm sorry for this, et cetera, et cetera. So at this time, this was the pandemic. Everything went on shutdown probably January of 2020.
Hmm.
So second semester just started. I'm just getting back in the groove of everything with classes, and they dropped all my classes. So what happened was my advisor was telling me, "Well, we're giving all your financial aid back for this school year. Um, so you can either take the financial aid, do whatever you want with it, or we can hold it until the next year until we see what's going to happen with the pandemic." At the time, like I don't have a job. I've never worked like a job before. I've had like little side stuff. I used to resell sneakers. That's how I used to make ends meet in college. So I didn't have a job. Like I had no stable income at all. So I was like, well, I need this refund check. So they gave me my whole financial aid check for the last 2 semesters, and I'm sitting on this money. Like, okay, I can sit on it and just hopefully hold it until I get by, or I'm gonna make it flip. So the type of person I am with my background, I came from nothing. I'm like, I'm about to flip this. So at the time, during the pandemic, it was only 3 things that was available that was still quote unquote, recession proof. And that was the trucking industry, healthcare, and funerals. Unfortunately, with the
Good for
funeral,
you.
I'm not built for that funeral life. I'm not about to invest in pretty much the deceased. So I wasn't going to go that route. And then healthcare, you got to have a whole bunch of certs and stuff like that. And if you're just a sole investor, I'm gonna need way more money than what they gave me with my refund check to really, get a return on that. So I wasn't gonna go that route. So my only other option was trucking. So I looked into trucking. I did my research. I seen, it was $800 billion industry. I'm doing my due diligence. And last year around February is when I got my own authority and pretty much just dive straight into it. And from that point on, I used my refund check to purchase my first truck. And from there until now, so we were like almost 17 months in, I've scaled from 1 to 4 trucks in little under a year and a half off of a financial aid assistance refund check.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. So everyone that went to college, right? They're familiar with the you keep saying the term refund check. Let me educate the public on the refund check. Refund check is a couple different ways that you can get a refund check. If you're lucky and you got in a scholarship and your parents make a certain amount of money, or you make a certain amount of money depending on what position you're in, you get access to grants, and one of them is Pell Grant and whatever other grants, or if you have scholarships.
Mhm.
Then after your school is paid off, you get this additional money, and then that's refunded back to you. Or some people, they take the other approach where they get all these student loans. Why one of the reasons why people are in student loan debt, get these student loans after the school is paid off, they take this additional money and they get the student loan refunded. They have to pay the student loan back, but they get this money refunded. So I have to ask, putting your business out there, which approach did you take? Was it the grant and um student loans?
Yeah, so I had a whole bunch of grants. Like I said again, I
Okay,
was kind of like a
nice.
real tech nerd. So
Okay.
I was in the STEM program. So STEM, for everybody who doesn't know, it's science, technology, electronics, and math. So I was in the
Mm-hmm.
STEM program. So I had like a plethora of a whole bunch of grants. I'm not gonna lie to you or to your community. I probably had like maybe I was in state, so I probably had like maybe like 6 to 8,000 in loans, but majority was
Mm-hmm.
all grants though.
And you know what? I wanted to put it out there because there's nothing wrong with that. It's just so many people they get student loan money and they waste it on stuff that's not going to push them anywhere. So the fact that you're like, hey, I took this money, and I remember reading a story back. I think a dude did a book on it or whatever, but he took all this student loan money, and I'm not telling y'all to do this, all right? So I don't want nobody to be like Danny said this, right? But I think he took all his student loan money and he used that to invest in real estate to where it eventually paid off his student loans. And I don't know. I don't know exactly how he did the story, but the fact that you're saying that you got your start using a benefit and easier loan to acquire from education, like that's powerful. Like if anything from this episode, that's powerful. So were you driving trucks when you first got your authority, or
Nah,
you just kind of went all
so
in with your money?
that's the beauty of me and Mitch's relationship, and I guess we call it like the best of both worlds, right? So Mitch actually
Mm-hmm.
started driving. He has his CDL. He had the what's the word I'm looking for? The experience behind the wheel, and then he tapped in and had his own company. I was the complete opposite. I don't have a CDL at all. I learned basically from researching and trial and error on the
Mm-hmm.
complete full blown ownership side of things. I'm real analytical and technical, so I looked at it from that approach. Mitch, we call
Gotcha.
it boots on the ground. So he was actually in the
Mm-hmm.
field behind the wheel, seeing things that I wouldn't see because I wasn't driving. So that's
So
how, to your next question, that's how we combined, both things and just said, okay, we just gonna conglomerate this thing and scale it up.
gotcha. So you're saying you're a technical person, you're really good with research. Did you have any mentorship to start the process, or you were just like, hey, these are three recession proofs. Let me research, about this industry and just kind of go all in.
I'm gonna be honest. That's really what it was. I mean, it's right in front of our faces. I think a lot of people overthink stuff. Like again, when the
Mm-hmm.
pandemic first hit, those is the only things running. When we first hit and we got completely shut down, the only thing on the highway was 18 wheelers. We couldn't drive nowhere. We
Gotcha.
had to stay in the house. We had the I was in North Carolina at the time. I was in Charlotte, but we had it was like a 6 o'clock curfew. You can't even be outside
Mm-hmm.
past a certain time frame. So the only people that was outside past that time frame was trucks. So that let me know, okay, the world still needs these trucks to move, to operate, to get these. At the time, you shipping masks, you shipping all these different vaccine, medications and all these different utensils and tools for vaccination and hospital stuff because the hospital rate skyrocketed. So they need more masks for the nurses and more, gloves and all of that. All of that stuff is moved from trucks. So that was
Mm-hmm.
my confirmation, call it confirmations. That was my confirmation for the trucking company. For, like I said, unfortunately, with COVID, a lot of people were dying. So the funeral homes was booming. But like I said, that's just
Mm.
my ethic code. I just can't invest into that. So technically from a
That's fair.
business aspect, funeral homes is booming, but that's just something that I wasn't going to go into. And then, like I said, lastly, before people are getting sick, I mean, while people are getting sick or before people are passing away, they got to go to the hospital. So those three things
Right.
was like intertwined. Those was the three, money makers at the time that struck my interest when I
Gotcha.
did my research. And I
That makes
had
sense.
I had confirmation from all three of those, of which I just broke down.
Gotcha. So Mitch, we're looking at everything now with like COVID, and you got your start before we even knew what a COVID was, right? So like 2017 versus COVID, like what do you feel like have been some differences or maybe even changes in the industry that's either a benefit or a negative aspect from the check-in industry?
Well, 2017, I was in a driver's stamp position.
Mm-hmm.
So that's totally different than when I started July of 2019 with my own authority because when you start your own authority, you're like at the bottom of the totem pole in trucking. So I could not get the same loads that I was getting. Um, and when COVID started, I was getting better loads than I was getting when I first started in 2019. But from a driver standpoint, to answer your question, you said what's the difference between 2017 versus 19? I was in the driver's seat. I wasn't the owner. So I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't actually picking my own loads. I was actually getting forced dispatch, meaning that they would give me a load and I would have to take it to where they told me to take it to.
Gotcha.
2019, I got on the load board through my own company and I looked and searched through a wide variety of loads and I'll say, oh, okay, that load is going 2,000 miles for $500. Okay, I'm picking that load to take. Let me call them and see if they'll give me the load for $2,000. And I might even try to negotiate, $300 more than $2,000. And then they say yes, and then I would take it. That's the difference. So I wasn't even in the owner position in 2017. I
Okay.
was in a driver position, a worker, a company man, as they call it, company driver position.
Mm-hmm. So
So
so is more so would you say that there's more demand now or versus like when you were able to pick your own load?
um is it a more demand when you say is it a more demand, are you referring to um people getting into the trucking industry?
Well, not necessarily that. I guess that could be a good question in the future, but more so you were saying something about being at the bottom of the totem pole. Like I think
Oh,
you said if you have your own authority, you're at the bottom of the totem pole or something.
meaning that I wasn't able to just pick any load that I wanted to when I first started. There's
Gotcha.
about 10 to 13 companies that you can only pick from when you first start your authority.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's not going to do business with you when you first start your authority. So you have to actually have now you starting over. Even though I had my license in 2017, I didn't have my authority in 2017. I got my authority, it's like getting my license all over again. So in
Wow.
2019, when I first started, I had to start all over again. I had to build new relationships. I had to show that I knew what I was doing. I had to show that I can get product to the receiver in a timely manner, and then the product was safe and everything was, the way it was when they first loaded the truck.
Okay.
So, when you first start, it's like your freshman year in college. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you starting from the bottom. And then once you start getting experience, now you're able to, you know, get more you have more choices to pick loads from.
Gotcha. So
Yeah.
you pretty much when it comes to those loads, you have to pick the like what is the part of the loads that no one really care about? Because you also said something about
Exactly.
negotiating. So tell me a little
Exactly.
bit more about the negotiating part.
Basically, when you see a load on load board going this route, when you're dealing with a broker, and the broker picks the broker has the loads that they get from shippers and receivers. They have some type of agreement between the broker and the shipper and receiver. So from a owner operator or authority standpoint, as a company, you have to go. You don't have to, but how I started, we went through a broker. When you go through the broker has maybe about 10, 15 loads on their board that they have to get off their board. They work
Mm-hmm.
with small companies. Sometimes they work with big companies, but they usually work with small companies to get those loads off their books, right? So when you call and then you say, okay, I seen a load on the load board for, again, $2,000 that may be going 500 miles, I may call and say, okay, well, uh, I see that you had that load on there and you want it delivered within the next 12 hours. Well, because it's a rush load, I may negotiate a better rate than $2,000 because one, I
Interesting.
have the clock to do it. I know my truck is going to, I know my truck is going to stand up. It's not going to, I'm not going to have, I shouldn't have any repairs because I probably have my maintenance checks and things of that nature. So I feel confident to make sure that I get that load there in a certain amount of time. So I'll negotiate more money based off the confidence I have in my company.
Gotcha. Okay, so walk me through. Well, first of all, let me ask you this question because I know Kamir, he just kind of, invested and kind of got into the industry. Me as a woman, I have no interest into getting into trucking because I'm like, oh, I mean, obviously you see that it's majority men. I'm like, I feel like I gotta know so much about a truck. What if the truck go wrong? You know, I mean, just like all handy stuff. Like in my mind, it's like all handy stuff. So when it comes to my mental thinking this way, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that are like, yeah, I don't want to get into it because there's just too many different moving parts, right? Um, and then I know you guys have your mentorship. So how do you walk someone in maybe career? Kamir, you can talk more about your experience. But how do you walk somebody that's like, hey, I don't want to get my hands dirty, but I'm ready to get into, or I want to invest into trucking because I heard it's at, like you guys said, I think an $800 billion industry or something.
Yeah, it's almost, that was like last year. I think it's almost upwards to almost 900 billion now. It's like 880,
Okay.
890. But I mean, pretty much exactly what you just said. You can be a sole investor. We call it angel investor. And we actually have a investor program for that where we take care of everything. You pay, an investor fee, and it's literally like the best way I try to explain it to make it understandable is like real estate, right? So you might get a home and then it's kind of like a buy and hold, but you have like Section 8. So you just get your check every month from the government. So it's pretty much like that. We'll handle all the day-to-day operations, and we'll just give you a percentage of what that truck make every month. So that's one way where you're completely hands off. You don't have to worry about breakdowns. You don't have to worry about hiring, firing drivers. You don't have to worry about you don't have to worry about literally anything. You're completely hands off. Like I said, angel investing. So that's one way.
Mm-hmm.
If you want your own authority, right? And if you want to actually be a part of the industry and be a little bit hands on, the easiest way, and this is the way that I'm a part of, I call it team lease. So you can lease the equipment. So leasing the equipment, I'm not gonna lie, you're gonna get taxed because it's leased equipment, but they have so many benefits and perks as far as roadside assistance programs, as far as the equipment, like you literally get brand new equipment. Um, if anything happens to the equipment, like you said, as a woman, you don't have to be hands on. If something breaks down or you're at the yard, you don't have to touch anything. You call a 1-800 number, they come out, they look at it, they fix it for you. No harm, no foul. You're good to go. So,
And that's an extra fee for the roadside?
yeah, all of that is an extra.
Well, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's a maintenance package. Like it's called a full service lease. That's the
Mm-hmm.
political correct term. It's called full service lease. So what happens is you'll put a deposit down, and you'll put a deposit down. They give you a truck, right? The truck runs. It's probably like a 2020, 2021, type brand. It's brand new a truck. It's pretty much under 2 years old. So you put down a deposit. They give you the truck. You hire a driver. You run it. If anything happens to that truck, you don't have to pay for it. Literally, the engine can blow. And this is a true story. One of my lease trucks, the transmission blew out. So on the buy side of things, like if I bought that truck outright, or I was financing it through a dealership, if that transmission blows, that might be with labor and everything, depending on who you go through. One, you're gonna be out of commission for probably like 2 weeks, maybe even longer. So that's 2 weeks worth of money that you're missing out on. Number two, that's probably like a $10,000 bill. See what I'm saying?
With
But
your own truck?
yeah, with my
Is
own
that
truck.
what you're saying? I got it.
But on the lease side, I don't pay for that at all. They literally gave me a new truck.
Wow.
So it's a peace of mind thing. So like you said, again, I'm trying to still focus in on, like you said, like as a woman and being hands-on. If you don't want to be hands-on, or you're not good with your hands, or you don't want to repair anything or go to
At
anything
all.
to repair, you don't want to worry about the headache, you would go the lease route. So those are the two things, pretty much just to keep it sweet. Either you can just fully invest here, throw some money at it, and a person who's already doing it and already has a system, and then you could just sit back and collect the check every month. Or if you, like I said, if you want to have your own company, but you want to be as less hands-on as possible, I would lease the equipment.
Gotcha. And those are some of the things that you share in the membership, not membership,
The mentorship.
mentorship.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So I cover
Gotcha.
all things lease, and Mitch covers all things buy. And then you know how like right now, they got like the verses. That's like the running thing right now in the
The
urban
verses.
community. Yeah, it's really like a versus. So like,
Yeah.
it's pros and cons to anything that you do. But Mitch would do his little, pros on, why he thinks the buy side is better. And like I just pretty much gave you a rundown. Like that was a quick example of like what I would say on the versus on the lease side. Like, okay,
The
buy side,
verses.
you're gonna make way more money per truck. But you got to worry about the headache. You got to worry about, stuff like that. Like I said, going back when I first started, I went to a little mom and pop type, no credit check place, and I used my refund check, and I put as a down payment for the truck. But that was on the buy side. So every month, I'm not gonna lie, I'm killing. I'm making great money, like life changing money. I was 20, 22 years old, like so. I'm making crazy money, but then as time went on, I'm literally spending $3,000 for roadside here. I'm spending $1,000 for tires here. Like that stuff adds up. So again, me being analytical and real technical at the end of the year. So I'll give you a real life example. This is a true story. My first load was May 15th, 2020, right? So from May 15th, 2020 to December 31st, 2020, that's about 6 months. So in 6 months, right? Well, before I say that, for a whole year, the average for maintenance, you supposed to pretty much put aside like $1,000 a month for maintenance. So on the buy side, so pretty much 12 to 15,000 you should put towards tires and just miscellaneous repairs every year. Let's just say 15 high end. That's in 12 months. So 15,000 for 12 months. I spent 31,000 in repairs in 6 months. So I literally spent double. I spent double the amount in half the time. And I'm looking at my P&L sheet. I'm like, oh, nah. Oh, no. So that's when I said, okay, I'm done with buying and I'm going to just go ahead and lease. Not only that, like I said, during that time frame where I'm dishing out money, I got drivers on the side of the road. They calling me 3-4 o'clock in the morning. I don't have a system. I don't have the lease system that's just gonna go out there and fix it. They don't have a 1-800 number to call. They call me.
No peace of mind.
No peace of mind. So it's at the point where I can't even get a good night's sleep because my phone can ring at any moment and I gotta wake up. I gotta Google the closest mom and pop roadside service repairs places to, go out there and fix my stuff. And not only that, you gotta pay them people up front. So God forbid you don't have a cushion and times get hard. You don't even have, you can't even get your truck fixed because they're not going to fix your truck unless you pay them up front.
Right. And not to mention maybe if they're booked out or whatever, then you have to schedule in their time also or shop around and find someone else, right?
So it's literally been times where my truck was sitting for 15 to 20 hours because we might have been in no man's land, Texas, and it just wasn't nobody around until the next business day. So, and then like I said, on the buy side, you got to pay for that. So, for example, if the closest roadside place is 200 miles away, they're going to charge you $1 a mile. So you got to pay $200 there and then $200 back home. So that you already in the whole $400 before they can even inspect the truck and see what's wrong with it. So all that stuff adds up. So, I mean, long story short, it just really was a peace of mind thing.
Gotcha. So Mitch, obviously, when it comes down to the verses, you believe the buy side of things, to where obviously there's a benefit, more money. Is there a peace of mind if someone wanted to just get into business, like again using me for example, or just any new listener, if they wanted to get in the trucking industry, but they want to buy their own trucks because they want to maximize? What are the benefits to that?
Well, the benefits to that would be, well, one thing I would say is if you want to go that route, I would say you definitely got to have your mindset, your mindset right to get in the industry, and you want to be involved. You want to be involved if you want to get into the industry as a, you know, buy side owner of trucks, meaning
Mm-hmm.
that you're gonna have to do some day-to-day work. It's not gonna be like lease where you can set your truck up with a dispatcher management company, have a have a maintenance you know, maintenance and roadside assistance set up with the actual lease company where you can actually call them and something go happen, you can just have the driver call that number and say, "Oh, call this number, don't call me."
Mm-hmm.
Or, any problems with the loads, call the dispatcher, don't call me. You know what I'm saying? And from that standpoint, most of the time they would just have to call you for maintenance and stuff like that to sign off on stuff. But from a lease side, you would actually have them just call the lease company to fix everything. They won't never call you for anything. So your job would probably pretty much be just doing payroll if you don't want to source that out. Whereas if
Gotcha.
you own the truck and you're on the buy side, you're gonna have to be a part of day-to-day operations. You're gonna have to be the person if you don't have something in place where they're gonna have to call you to set up some type of repair shop if the truck goes
Mm-hmm.
down, like you said earlier. Um, if you dispatching yourself to keep the cost down, then you dispatching. Even if you dispatching one truck, that's still you still got to be on call. If you
Gotcha.
dispatching your own truck to keep all the funds to yourself. So you're looking at dispatching and all your paperwork. You're looking at dispatching, you're looking at management, you're looking at repairs and maintenance and roadside assistance, and then you're looking at your paperwork. So if you're doing all that, you're involved with it daily, and you're trying to maximize the amount of money you can make. Before you invest into a buy side, you got to make sure that's what you really want to do as far as the day-to-day operations.
Wow.
There's some things you can do to kind of alleviate that. You can contract some of those, categories out to different
Gotcha.
people. You know what I'm saying? And you still can still make more than the lease side. You know what I'm
Gotcha.
saying? You might not maximize, so to speak, but you will have more time freedom.
Okay.
So there's
And I
ways
like
around
how
it.
And I like how it was mentioned where you wanna, because obviously you're talking about finance, right? Finances in different industries. And I think one of the most powerful things that you said, which a lot of people don't think about because you got a lot of glitz and glamour like on the internet. But you like if you had a truck, which maybe I'm assuming 'cause I've never driven a truck before, an 18 wheeler, that a lot of people make a lot of financial mistakes. So they're like, "Yo, we getting this money." They don't think about anything going on. The fact that you're like, "Hey, you got to stash like 1,000, 1,500, or whatever amount to the side." Granted, you making money, but now you got to stash it to the side to where if anything happens, you can at least get yourself out of the hole. And I think I'm assuming that's one of the amateur mistakes, financial mistakes that people make going into trucking, where they may not necessarily go back to trucking because they didn't build their foundation in the beginning. Would you say that's about right?
Well, that's why people sway away from trucking because of
Mm-hmm.
the finances. Some people know they got mismanagement. They have poor management skills when it comes to finances.
Mm-hmm.
But because me and Kamir are proponents of good credit, we're proponents of business credit. I mean, combined, I think me and Kamir, we up there. Let's see if say a round number. If we combine our uh, business credit, we probably got about $750,000 in business credit that we actually
Woo,
touched. Yeah,
woo,
combined. So,
that's good.
yeah, so we're a proponent of that and we teach people that. And so our motto is, we're starting you to get into trucking, but we're going to try to keep you in trucking. You see what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So, we can try to, start in the trucking so you can stay in the truck. You know what I'm saying?
And
So
that's the
with the
benefits
business
of
credit, you
partnership.
become your own
Yeah.
bank. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying?
You said with the business credit, you're creating your own bank.
Yeah, you basically your own bank at that point. As long as you know how
That's
to,
powerful.
manage finances, you're your own bank. You know what I'm saying? So you can have,
Gotcha.
you know, those little times where if you on the owner side and you need to get a repair done, you're not as stressed. You have a little more peace of mind having that business credit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Now, what about so I do know, like, so I have a background in recruiting, right? And I remember when I was looking for a job, like, I have a technical background in recruiting. Um I still was getting hit up by trucking companies looking for recruiters. And I was just like, nah, I'm not necessarily into that, because obviously in the recruiting world, you want to go to the recession or the more higher in demand career fields, which is like Kamir was saying, like STEM. I did technology, right? Um, but what I've learned from outside looking in is that, and this is kind of across the board, because everyone's like, yo, you should be an entrepreneur. And I'm just like, no matter what industry, whether you're in network marketing or you have a Fortune 500 company, one of the problems, especially nowadays, is employees, is talent. So with you guys, obviously we're talking about buy side, we're talking about lease side, but you got to put people in those trucks. So, do you have, like, how has that experience been as far as like making sure you have talent and they're on board? How can someone stay incentivized with you? Because I think some people, they jump into different companies because of the bonuses, but I hear like that's an ongoing issue with trucking.
Yeah, I'll tap in on that. So pretty much, um, yeah, you gotta understand. A lot of people is very greedy. That's number one.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people not for the team. That's number two. So again, trucking, you gonna make money if you have a game plan and if you just have good money management skills. You don't have to, we call it squeezing, and try to get every little penny out of, every truck. You got to spread the wealth. That's longevity. That's how you create longevity. So it's companies out here that's literally paying their drivers, 20 cent a mile, 30 cent a mile, which equivalates to pretty much like 10% of the load with the load pay. So for example, if the load is paying $1,000, you only getting $100 for that load. That's ridiculous, right? These people are human too. This is what I tell my mentees all the time. These drivers are human. Like they have a family, just how you might have a family to feed, and they have certain needs that need to be met. You're not over the road. Driving all across the United States, dealing with, different weather conditions, different, being away from family, just all that stuff. Now, yes, I get it. This is what they signed up for, but you still, I like to look at stuff in their shoes. Like, how would I feel if I was pretty much doing all the work? Because the driver is the backbone of your company. I don't care what no owner says. Without the driver, you're not making no money. That's period. So you want to stay competitive in the market, but still have that little threshold to where, okay, at the end of the day, as an owner, I want to profit X amount of dollars per truck every month or every week, however you break it down. So I'm willing to give the driver X amount of dollars, right? Like I said, right now in the industry, from a percentage standpoint, drivers is looking at, 20 to 25%, 20 to 30%. It just depends, right? Again, on the buy side, if Mitch is on the buy side, he might be able to offer the driver 30% because he's making more money because he don't have as much overhead expenses. As where to me on the lease side, I might be able to only offer 25% because my overhead is higher than his.
Overhead.
But on the
Yeah.
flip side to that, again, to go deeper into your question, drivers have wants and needs too outside of money. So yeah, on the buy side, you might be offering 30%, but you might only have a 2010 Freightliner or a 2005 Volvo, an older, model truck that's always in the shop, stuff like that. Drivers want to be in a good truck because when they on the road, this is their home. Like this is their house,
Right.
like legit their house. They have a refrigerator. Drivers put TVs in here, all type clothes. Like, I remember one time Mitch, he had a whole gym in one of his trucks. Like he literally had the little Bowflex portable joint. So, drivers literally, this is their home when they're on the road. So you want to make sure that, okay, I'm going to pay you a good amount, but I'm also going to make sure that what you driving is suitable for your wants and needs while you over the road. So all of that stuff plays a part. And that's what drivers look at. The biggest thing, obviously, in conclusion, drivers going to look at the pay. They want to make sure that they pay well. They want to make sure that the dispatcher knows what they're talking about. So I don't know if we went over this, but for people who are listening who don't know, a dispatcher is pretty much like your front line of defense. They're the person who books the loads and talks to the driver and negotiates the rate. So they'll be the one that's talking to the driver every day, saying, "Okay, driver, this is where you going. This load is paying this amount. Pick up here at this time, drop off here at this time." Those is the people that's dealing with that. So if you have a dispatcher who don't know what they talking about, that's a red flag to the driver too. So they're gonna want a good driver is gonna want to talk to the dispatcher to make sure that they on the same page, that they know what they're talking about. They want to make sure the pay is good, and they want to make sure the equipment is good. And then, like I said, when you're doing your interview process, and you ask the driver, okay, do you have any questions? 9 times out of 10, they're gonna ask you the what if, the worst case scenarios, because a lot of people in this mentorship space, like you said, the glitz and glamour on Instagram or Facebook or whatever,
Right.
they always show the good, but they don't talk about the bad enough. So in trucking, it's not if your truck going to break down, it's when your truck breaks down. Your truck is going to break down. That's part of the game. So these drivers are going to ask you again, what do I do when this happens? Or how do we go about this if this happens? Like if I catch a flat tire, what do I do? Do I call you? Do I call the dispatcher? Da, da, da. That's where you got to have your systems in place. They just want to make sure that you are stable, for one, and reliable, and you have a system in place. Once they see that and they feel comfortable and they getting paid well, and that you're a man or woman of your word, that's another thing. Then they'll be good. And what I mean by man or woman of your word is some of these drivers don't like going to certain areas. You might get a driver that's in Atlanta. He like the
Mm-hmm.
Southeast. If he tell you, I don't feel comfortable driving, over mountains and stuff like that, you can't send him to like West Virginia where all it is mountains, because again, you got to put yourself in their shoes. It's some mountains that don't have that little thing, and you can literally fall right off the edge of the mountain. Some drivers got, they scared of that stuff, or some drivers don't like driving to the Northeast, like New York and stuff like that, because the lanes, like the highways and the roads, is real small, so it's hard for them to turn and stuff like that. So it's just just little stuff like that you gotta take account of when you talk to your driver and when you hire your driver. So if your driver tell you, I don't like going to New York, but you send them to New York, they're gonna get upset. Or if you have an agreement, this is the biggest one. If you have an agreement that your driver gonna be out for a week and he gonna be home on the weekend, you got to make sure he home on the weekend. Again,
Mm-hmm.
these drivers got kids, they might have wives, etc. How do you feel if you was a driver and your driver told you, "Hey, I'll do 2 weeks out, but I need to be back on this day because it's my daughter's birthday." But because you so
Gotcha.
money hungry as an owner, you book a load on that driver's daughter's birthday, and now he done missed his daughter's birthday. Drivers literally will quit and leave your truck on the side of the road over their family. Like, family
Wow,
is
that's
everything.
crazy.
So a lot of people don't think about that. I always put myself in the driver's shoes. No, I
Mm-hmm.
don't have a CDL, but I always put myself in the driver's shoes because again, you have to think about the team. And once the driver knows that the owner is really for the driver and for the team, they'll do whatever you want.
Man, that sounds like some amazing leadership. And how old are you, Kamir, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 26.
Okay. Man, that's dope. That's dope to be so young. Okay, I'm not that old, but yeah. To be to be in your 20s, like that's some really good leadership, because I really think that's what it comes down to. With just any company in general. It's unfortunate that it's 2021 and there are companies that still are not realizing that your employees is what keeps your business running. So,
Right.
do you do your own hiring? Do people send you people? Like, how do you acquire new truckers?
Yeah. So we have a referral program, and some people are different. Some people get tricky with it. So for me, and Mitch, I know he does it a little bit. It's like a little different for me personally though. I give my drivers $1,000 referral bonus. So one of the things, another slogan that we tell our mentees is like, truck drivers, no truck drivers.
Right.
So again, I said again, truck drivers, no truck drivers. So honestly, if you doing what you're supposed to and you treating them right, just like any other, person that's working a 9 to 5 or that's, working retail or whatever the case may be, they gonna talk. Hey man, I'm working for Kamir at Atlas Express and I'm getting paid, $2,000 a week every week. Like it's consistent. The runs is good. Yada yada. He cool. Like he very understanding, etc. Meanwhile, his homeboy is working for one of them lease on companies that Mitch started for when he first started driving, and they only paying him $500 a week. So then they like, oh, well, ask him if he got, ask Kamir if he got a truck for me that I can get in. So then the driver calls me, hey, Kamir, you got a truck available. I got a homeboy who working for, one of the big companies, JB Hunt, Swift, or whatever. He trying to get on. And then I tell my drivers, but they already know this up front, but I tell my driver, like, all right, bet, like send him my information. If he get on, you get that $1,000 bonus on your next check. So it's kind of like like an affiliate link in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So they making their money regardless, but now they can literally, if you send me 4 drivers, that's $4,000.
Wow.
So again, it's all about the team. We all eating. So you done made an extra $4,000 for the month by sending me 4 drivers, and now I done got 4 drivers and four more trucks. Everybody,
and that's only searching, and you only searching obviously when you acquire new trucks, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm at the point now where like I can get a truck, but I, like you said, you got to have a driver first. So once I have the driver, and that's another thing. That's the beauty about the lease side for me is that if I have a driver and I know he's serious, I do the interview and all of that, I can just go put a deposit and grab another truck. I don't have to go through the whole process of going to the dealer. I don't have to do all that. And
that's all because of the business credit side, right?
Well, yeah. So
because you have access as a line.
Exactly. But if you didn't, then you would just have to have a cushion. But if you have, business credit or any source of, we call it OPM, other people's money, then I say, okay, I got a driver. Are you ready? You solid? Like, you sure this is what you want to do? Okay, cool. I make a phone call. I put a deposit and get another truck on the lease side. And then, we run it up. If anything is to happen to that truck, I just give it back. And then they give me my deposit back minus, any damages that my driver gave or put on it.
Gotcha. Now I know you got to get out of here soon. So I guess
we good. I already rescheduled the flight, so we good. I got.
Oh, okay. I was like, dang, because I was like,
I gotta give you 110%. Man, I'm not going.
Man, I love it. I love how y'all operate. So the word that keeps going around on the internet a lot is automation. So you talked about the lease side. We know all about buying, but then there's outside of the actual physical truck. How much? Because we're just talking about like employing people. What process do you have automated, and where are you looking to go in the future as far as automating your trucking company?
Honestly, I'm trying to think. The only other piece that needs to probably be automated is probably maybe an assistant. Probably. I mean, I love the trucking industry. Like I love learning. Like whether it's trucking stocks, but I love learning. So that's the only reason why I don't have a personal assistant to do, like Mitch said, the day-to-day operations, is because that keeps me sharp and keeps me on my toes in the industry. But to make the trucking company completely automated, you probably would just have to get an assistant, some type of personal assistant or a VA or something like that, or a virtual assistant.
Gotcha.
But outside
now
of that,
I'm saying,
well, go ahead.
Now, because I know you love it, but for someone that may be listening, they're like, I see an opportunity. Because I know, like for me, I have people in my family. Like I got a brother, he drives trucks currently. My dad, he used to. And then I've seen, some of the mistakes and, some of the good moves that they made throughout that. Mm-hmm. But for someone, I'm like, hey, or maybe an easier question on top of automation is getting into trucking. What is the systematic approach that one should follow to make sure that their company, because I know we got like bits and pieces, but what's a systematic approach that a person can follow to make sure that they can grow to, like you said, from 2 to 8 trucks and still have access, the ability to get more?
I would say business funding, and pretty much having those things that we talked about. I would say lease side and business funding, because that's the easiest way to make it automated. The main things that you're gonna face is pretty much what we already talked about. Have a dispatcher, so you ain't got to worry about that. That's done. That's automated. You don't have to wake up every morning and book loads. That's already completed. So the dispatcher, check. Um, we have the factoring company. We haven't talked about that. The factoring company is basically where they front you the money and then they wait until, the 15 or 30-day period to get the money for that load. So for example, if a
Like a
load,
hard money lender?
not really a hard money lender, it's
Okay.
pretty much, so I'm gonna break it down. So like Mitch was saying, you got a $2,000 load, right? So what's today? Today is Friday. So let's just start on a fresh week. So let's say you picked up a load on Monday, right? And then you drove the 500 miles and you dropped the load off on Tuesday, right? Once you drop that load off on Tuesday, the factoring company is going to front you the $2,000. They're going to wire you the money. So you're going to get paid the same day that you drop off, right? And then what
Okay.
they're going to do is they're going to take that agreement that you had with the broker and they're going to say, hey, we done fronted Kamir Atlas Express. We done fronted him the 2,000. Now we need the 2,000 from you, to come to us. Because what happens is with these brokers is they'll wait 15 to upwards to 30 days. It's called a net 15 or a net 30, which means you got 15 or 30 days to pay or receive payout. If you wait
Wait a
15,
minute. I'm sorry to cut you off. Hold on. Because I want to make sure I'm processing it correctly. Because I want to make sure everyone else understands. Are we talking about we're on the business funding or we're talking about something else?
nah, we
Because
talking
I'm familiar with net 30 when it comes to credit and all of that. But I'm like, wait, is
nah,
that the same
I was talking about the process from A
terminology?
to Z. I was giving a mini
Oh,
course
okay.
right now. We on a mini course. So
Got you.
my fault.
So
I
the
slowed down.
beginning. No.
Yeah, I slowed it down.
It's fine.
You said the question
So
was
wait, you said the first thing you said was business funding. And we
yes.
just went in. I'm like, wait a minute.
No, you said what
Okay.
you said was, correct me if I'm wrong. You said in order to make this thing completely automated, what's the easiest way? That's what you said, right?
Well, no, that part, yes, but also what is the system to
Oh,
go
right. So
along with,
I'm
like if
giving.
I'm starting brand new.
All right, yeah. So I'm giving the system. So starting brand new,
Okay.
the easiest or best way to be automated is to make sure that you have business funding. That is your cushion, right? So if
So
you
I
don't,
gotta figure out how to establish that part first, because if I don't, a lot of people don't know anything about business funding.
correct.
You
And
know.
if you don't, that's okay. But just make sure that you have some type of cushion, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
you don't have business funding or you don't want to, build up to get that, that's fine. But you still need to have some type of cushion for worst case scenario. I would, if you only have
Right.
$20,000 to your name, I would not go all into the trucking because you're gonna need more than that. Because what happens is you might have 20,000 to your name, and then you might put down $5,000-6,000 at a no credit check spot to get your truck, and then
Mm-hmm.
trailer and down payment on insurance and all that. You might be all in 10 grand, right? So now you got
Gotcha.
$10,000 cushion, right?
Okay.
Literally, your truck
But
can
it's
get rolling the next day, and then the truck break down, and now you don't use your whole, your whole
Gotcha.
cushion. Now,
But as far as like business, so we're still in the business funding
yes,
because, okay, I don't want to use my money because you just taught me something new. So I want to get into business funding, right?
correct.
So do I go to someone that, because, there's a lot of credit people, specialists or whatever. Obviously, I think you guys offer it too. Do I go to someone and be like, hey, I want to build business credit because I want to get into trucking industry? And if so, like, how long does that process take before I'm like, all right, I want to use this to buy my own truck?
Okay, so if you want to do that, it'll probably take maybe 2 months, 60 days. 60, I'm gonna say
Okay.
60 to 90 days to be safe. But
Okay.
if you have good credit, this is the perks of good credit. If you have good credit, then again, I would just apply for like a business credit card. Now, when you
Mm,
apply for a business credit card, obviously they're going to do a hard pull, which is, they're going to give you a hard inquiry on your personal credit score. But that's okay because if you have, decent to good credit, that's your cushion. That credit card is your cushion. And because it's on the business credit, even if you have a balance, it's not going to report to your personal credit score. So you're still able to pay it down, like Mitch was saying, without, stressing out. So whether we talking business, like real business funding with no personal guarantee, that's what no PG is, or we talking business credit card with a personal guarantee, or we talking about a business loan, a personal loan, you can go any type of way between loans, credit cards, hard money lenders, advances, any type of, OPM. All of those are terms,
Mm-hmm.
different forms of OPM, right? Other people's money. That's what I mean by business funding, because all of that funding, wherever you get it or however you get it, that is funding for your business. So you need to have that first. You need to have that cushion
Okay.
first. Maybe I should have said cushion, but it's okay. We good. So you need to have that cushion first. That's the number one thing for automation. Because once you got that cushion, you're not stressed, and then you could let the beat build. You can let the play run without being stressed out or making any impulse decisions. So after you have that, you go. That was done. So boom, we done with that. So
Boom.
business funding slash cushion, right? That's step one.
Right.
Step two is you want to have the factoring company. This is step two of the automation. You want to have the factoring company. So the factoring company is going to be the company that fronts you the money, so you don't have to wait 15 to 30 days to get paid from these brokers for doing that load. So like I said, say that I'm a broker and you got Danny Truck Company, right? So you just
Mm-hmm.
did that load for $2,000, right? But I'm telling you, I'm gonna pay you in 2 weeks. Well, you like, well, I still got to pay for fuel. Still got to pay for my driver. I still got other day-to-day operations that I need to take care of. I can't wait 15 or 30 days for that $2,000. So you go to the factoring company, which is Mitch, and Mitch is going to say, well, here, Danny, here's the $2,000 up front, same day. I'll wait the
Mm-hmm.
15 to 30 days to get the money from Kamir, and I'm gonna just
Gotcha.
take a 2% fee from you. So instead of getting $2,000 wired to your bank account same day, Mitch is gonna wire you $1,950. So now you
Mm-hmm.
can continue to grow and scale your business and get paid every single day. But Mitch has the capital where he just gonna wait net 15 or net 30 days for me to pay him. So that's how that
Okay.
works. So that's how the factoring works. So again, we have the cushion. Then you got the people who gonna pay you every day, so you can make sure your business is growing and scaling and operating, have money to operate. And then you have the equipment, which would be, like I said, to make the best way for me. I feel like to make it automated is to lease your trucks. So when you have the lease, you have brand new equipment. You don't have to worry about roadside; it's already taken care of. You don't have to worry about repairs; that's already taken care of. That's a part of automation. And then
Okay.
with the drivers, you can either, hire a service. They have different recruiting services that hire drivers for you, where you just pay them a fee and they find you drivers. I've worked with a few. I've literally gotten results in less than 24 hours. Like it's some companies out there that's the real deal. Like you pay them, they fee at, what is it, Eastern Standard? It's 2:00 right now, Eastern Standard. They'll have you a driver by 5 p.m. ready to start tomorrow. So, it's definitely worth it. So that's another part of automation. You don't want to be out here posting ads on Facebook Marketplace and Indeed or stuff like that. Now you can do those, but
Right.
if we're talking about strictly automation, which you asked, I would outsource that and go for a professional who know what they're doing. Like this is what they get paid to do. Because
Right.
each day that driver ad is on that, Indeed or ZipRecruiter, you losing money. I rather
Mm-hmm.
pay, a recruiter $2,000 and he gonna have me a driver tomorrow, and then we book a load for $2,000 the same day, and I just got that $2,000 back, than to, lowball and put an ad out, put $100 ad out, and it take me 30 days to get a driver. So
Wow.
as far as automation, that would be the next step. So we got cushion, factoring, lease equipment, and driver recruiter. So those are the four things. And then the fifth thing would be your dispatcher, which covers all the loads and books all the loads. And then the last thing would be, like I said, an assistant to just do small stuff like payroll or something like that if you didn't want to do that. So
Gotcha.
that's
And you
the
guys teach all that in your mentorship?
Yeah, I tried to give you a condensed version, but whew, yeah, that was pretty
Yeah.
much it.
And I appreciate it. I mean, because the main thing is there's a lot of hungry people out there. And one of the things that I like to expose is that there's industries out here, sales, business, whatever. And, sometimes, I mean, I make the entrepreneur mistake where you kind of bash people for not doing the same thing you're doing. It's just like, okay, that was an amateur mistake, right? But there's going to be some people that's looking like I said, I'm not a handy person, so it's the first thing I'm not gonna think of is trucking because I'm like, oh, I don't even like driving near trucks. Like I hate. Okay, let me not use the word hate. I dislike driving near trucks because they're so big, right?
Yeah.
Um. So then on the financial side, so growing from 2 to 8 trucks, right?
Mhm.
Um, how does one grow from 2 to 8 trucks? Like, what's the systematic approach to getting there?
Systematic approach to go from 2 to 8 trucks.
Yeah. Is it like,
Don't be
oh, I
afraid
get
of
one, then I make money from here, then I use that money, and then I go for another the truck? Do I just build up
exactly
business
that.
credit?
You reinvest into your business.
Okay.
Yeah, if you reinvest into your business, luckily I was a driver, so I
Mm-hmm.
had income from the truck that I was driving.
Okay.
I didn't have to. I wasn't working outside of trucking. I was working inside of trucking. So, you take the revenue from one truck and then you invest into another truck. Um, and then you do it again. You know what I'm saying? So now you went from making, 10 grand a month to now you're making 20 grand a month of 2 trucks. And then you take 20 grand out of 2 trucks and you're making 30 grand a month off 3 trucks. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how, I was able to scale so fast. The first portion of that scaling was forced, and that's fine. But once I, figured out that way of doing things, then that's when the business funding and business credit came into play also. The banks kind of had me furious with them because when I first started, I was forced, but then last year when we went to the banks and we put, a truck within that bank and having a business bank account to show that we're making the money, and we was like, okay, we ready to get another truck. The bank said we grew too fast,
Wow.
so we like, okay, well, my personal credit is good, my business credit is good, I have money in the account. You tell them you're not gonna do business with me to get this other truck because you feel like I grew too fast? And I say, yes. I mean, you grew too fast. I mean, it's great what you're doing. You're doing great, but let's wait till 2022. Let's see how that goes. And then we'll, come back to us and we'll think about giving you more money for another truck. It had me furious because we was in the process of, already had a buyer's order on 2 trucks. So, my
Wow.
brother was like, I'm getting this truck. So he was like, he was gonna spend his cash. I'm like, man, we didn't spend our cash on other trucks already. I'm not spending no more cash. I want to use OPM, other people's money. So that's what made me get into, networking conferences and things like that, where I met Kamir, because I'm like, I'm gonna try to figure out how to, get as much business funding and business credit, use business credit to become my own bank. I'm tired of going to these banks and they dictating how fast we can grow. So that's what led
Wow.
us to that. And that's a way where you can grow. You invest into your own trucking company, what I'm saying, reinvest into your own trucking company to grow, as well as while you're growing, leverage that income that you have in the bank accounts to get your business credit up to par so you can get business funding and then you can grow at your own pace.
Gotcha. So what would you say is you guys' financial exit? Because you understand, because you guys were taking the money, reinvesting, and I think that's dope because a lot of people they start getting money and it's all invested in them when they need it to live, and I'm pretty sure like you needed a portion to do whatever you needed to do with it, but not many people understand reinvesting. Granted, you guys have a business where it makes sense why you reinvest to grow, right?
Mhm.
But have you decided on a number of trucks? Is it a number of money? Like what is your financial exit out of like, I grew my business to where I want it to go, grow. I can keep growing it, but now I can chill back and just enjoy life. What does that look like for you?
Man, it's funny you say that. That's a discussion that me and him always talk about. Me, him, and my brother, we
Mm-hmm.
always talk about a certain amount of numbers, and we all don't see it the same. Some of us want 10 trucks. Some of us want the trucks that we got. Some of us want 5 trucks. So, that's a discussion that we always have. And, breaking down the numbers, once we look at it, you got to set a number well, how we do it is we set a number on how much we want to make off each truck. So let's think about it. If you got, say, 10 trucks and you make 5,000 off 10 trucks a month, right? I mean, well, I'm sorry, 500 off 10 trucks a month. Well, that's $5,000 to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? If that's enough money for you to live off of, and your trucking company can still prosper and do things they need to do, then you could just pay yourself $500 off 10 trucks. You'll have you'll have what's that? That's 50,000?
I don't know. I
No, I'm
wasn't
sorry.
doing the math.
No,
Five,
5,000. I'm
five
tripping.
grand.
5,000. So that'd be $5,000, right? So that's $60,000 a year that you
Okay.
sitting at home and you got your trucking company completely automated off those 10 trucks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we've been looking at the exit portion of it. How many trucks at the percentage that we want to make off each truck? How many trucks do we need to be able to have the trucking company be automated where we're out of the business instead of working on the business so much or working within the business? So that's how that's how we came up with our game plan of exiting from working,
Gotcha.
within the business.
So I get the math, but do you personally, do you have your own goal? Kamir, do
Yeah,
you
I
have your own
actually
goal?
right now my goal for 2022 is to have at least 5 trucks of my own um where I'm dedicated to those 5. I share trucks now, but 5 trucks of my own where I dedicate those 5 and have a whole year of just running those trucks. And I want to be able to have it to the point where I don't take any money out of the trucking business. That's my goal. I want the actual
Mm-hmm.
trucking business to stand alone. So, with me coaching and things that way, I can, earn other revenue, stocks, stuff like that. I can earn other revenue in other places, other industries. So I want to be able to have it where I have the trucking business just run on its own for a whole year. That's my new goal.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll get me out of it to be able to see in 2023 what I need to do. If I need to scale more, if I need to, just stop at the 5. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. What about you, Kamir? What's your number?
Man, I'm trying to run it up. I don't know what Mitch talking about. I'm trying to run it up. But I guess short term, I want to get I want to get another a truck every quarter. So I guess
Okay.
that would be like 4 trucks a year. And then I just want to go until really I can't go no more, like until it just becomes too much. Obviously as you scale and you grow, I'm gonna get to a point where I have to, outsource, get assistant, stuff like that. Oftentimes, especially with small business, you know, the more the hands that's in the pot, the more unorganized things get. I'm a very organized person. I kind of got like OCD, low key. So that's my only fear. Like, I want to be able to say and tell you, like, yeah, Danny, I want 50 trucks. But I know if I get 50 trucks, I'm gonna have to have a minimum of like 5 assistants. I can't. One person
Right.
cannot manage 50 trucks. It's impossible. So I just want to get to a point where I'm at a good place where I can outsource and maybe hire 1 or 2 assistants here and there. If that's 20, 30 trucks, okay, cool. I'm okay with that because, 20, 30 trucks, that's literally millions of dollars a year, which I'm super fine with that. My overhead is very low. And I don't really do all the flashy stuff like that. So I'm good.
Right.
I'm good on the money side of it. But like Mitch said, I mean, once that becomes a thing, doing other stuff, teaching, giving back to the community, having different assets outside of trucking, that'll be pretty much what I live off of. And then the trucking company can just run its own thing. Because that's the real goal.
Yeah.
That's the true goal is even if a driver quits or even if you have a breakdown, I mean, even though again, like I said, I'm on a lease out, but even if I have a breakdown or even if a load get canceled or whatever the case may be, I don't even want that junk to budge my emotional like frame at all because I know I'm so good that it ain't even gonna affect nothing. So like, yeah, we get excuse me, if a tire go flat, I'm okay. Like I want to be like that. I'm just okay. Like I want to get to the point where nothing phases me with the trucking company. So, like I said, that
Gotcha.
might be 10 trucks, it might be 20, 30, however, um, then that'll be the number. And then, like I said, short term, I definitely for 2022, because Mitch gave a 2022 goal, I want to be able to just get at least one truck every quarter.
Okay. Gotcha. And I guess as far as um people reaching out to you guys, do you guys do I know you it sounds like you guys got a close knit of partnership. Do you guys take on more partners at this point? Are you just looking for angel investors at this point?
Yeah, we're just looking for
Like
investors. We're not taking no more partners. We no more partners. That's I
Oh, man.
had to cut you off. I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
Because Kamir is very, he's very intentional. So,
yeah.
when you say you're gonna do something, he wants you to do it. You know what I'm saying? And
Respectfully.
respectfully, of course. But and that's my business partner, and I wouldn't change my business partner for nobody. You know what I'm saying? I
Right.
knew what it
That's
was when I
dope.
first met him. I seen stuff in him he ain't even seen in himself, for real.
Wow.
And I still see it all the time. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I wouldn't change my business partner with nobody. But yeah, we don't need no more partners. We done. We tried. We lived. We got conquered. So we
Okay.
And
we don't want to
Control
risk nothing. But
conquer.
that's
investors,
another thing though too. Like I'm glad Mitch said that. Like again, I keep it real. Like we keep it real. Like he said, we have tried to, partner up and do different things and we failed. And it's okay to fail because one of the biggest things with that is again, is confirmation. I'm big on confirmation. You might have an idea of what something might be and you try it out. And if it's not what it was, that's cool because I learned from it. Like, okay, I thought that's what it was. I thought, I could work with these people or do, this type of lane and it didn't work out. So now I know that, that's not the move. And I'm okay with that because now I can actually go to you, Danny, or anybody else, or shoot myself and say, I tried that, it didn't work. So I know it doesn't work instead of hearing it from somebody else, or like you said, getting blinded by the glitz and the glamour of what's posted on social media. I can wake up and say, oh, I did that. Like, I did that. It didn't work. Or it's not what they're saying it is. And I can move forward and focus more so on what I know works, what I have done the research on, and focus on that and
Gotcha.
grow that.
Okay.
So
So I guess
in
my last
conclusion,
question,
it's okay to fail. It's okay to, try different
most
things
definitely,
in any business model. It ain't just about trucking, but it's okay to take an L. A lot of
most
people don't
we
definitely.
talk
we took
about
some.
taking L's. A lot of people don't talk
Yeah,
about taking L's. We take L's every day.
yeah, we taking some. We've done some things. So
But you know what? That's why the saying is, um, it's a personal development program. Entrepreneurship is personal development. Some people do
definitely.
terrible at it, and some people become great, amazing people.
Yeah,
You know.
for sure.
So I guess my one of my final questions um is your business your only investment right now, or are you now to a point where you're able to take some of the money that you have in business and start investing towards that decision to when you want to just like, hey, I'm good now, I'm where I want to be financially.
No, actually, for me, nah, trucking is not the only investment.
Okay.
Started Airbnb. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? I started, on a small scale. Basically my Airbnb is geared towards nurses.
Okay.
Um, in a area that really don't have a whole lot of uh, they don't have a whole lot of, entrepreneurship going on. So it's not like I'm in a whole lot of different competition, from our, network or whatever. So Airbnb, I'm trying to get into the stocks, trying to learn the game and get into stocks and try to diversify my divisions inside of the trucking. Right now we are completely into the drive-in division. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you want to say diversify, so many legs within the trucking that I mean, going into another division is almost like another business. Pretty much every truck is its own business anyway. Even though we'll
Mm-hmm.
say yeah, it's in the trucking business, but the way, I mean, that's a whole nother story where I got my stuff set up, but it's like its own business. So if I go into a reefer division, then that's basically like a whole nother division because the money is different. Everything is, it kind of changes a little bit. Same thing with flatbed, same thing with hot shot. I want to get into hot shot. I haven't tapped into that, but I have a network that has. So I
Okay.
want to tap into hot shot and stuff like that. So, I'm still trying to expand it within the trucking. Outside of Airbnb and stocks and things of that nature, I'm still trying to expand into trucking. Turo, nah, I'm not getting into none of that.
Yeah.
Because if I can buy a luxury car on 4 wheels, why don't I just get a tractor and trailer? I
Right.
still got to deal with
Hey.
the driver. I got to deal with more drivers in a Turo car than I got to deal with a truck. With a
Good
truck, I
point.
might have to deal with 2 or 3 drivers in that year, maybe. In a
Mm-hmm.
car, I got to deal with a driver every 2 seconds.
Make a valid
So
point.
I might as well just get in the trucking and just get another truck and get a luxury $300,000 car that don't bring me but so much money when I can just get in the trucking and do what I already do. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. To me, trucking, it's kind of hard. It's hard for me to get away from it right now.
Makes sense. Kamir?
Yeah. I mean, pretty much, I'm big on trucking and stocks right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I pretty much short and sweet, just trucking and stocks. The trucking is basically automated. I just wake up and see, what load my dispatcher got for me or for the team on that particular day. Um, and I pretty much put the phone down as far as that. If something happens, they hit me up, they let me know. But I'm at a point now where I can, put my energy towards other stuff. Right now, I'm really trying to learn this stock stuff. So right now, I'm
Gotcha.
focused on stocks.
That's fair. So, how do everyone reach you guys? Like, obviously, like I can add your Instagram if you want. Um, People reach you via Instagram, but like, what's the best way? And even if it is Instagram, do they DM you a certain way? They're like, "Hey, saw you on Danny Renee's podcast." Like, what's the best way to
Oh, they
contact
can
you?
reach me. They can, if they want to know anything, any additional information about trucking or anything like that, they can text me at 914-219-6551. You can text trucking to that number. That'll be 914-219-6551. Just text trucking to that number. And also you can reach me on IG at MITCH_EAMHO.
Mitch and
Yeah,
Kamir.
I had to look at my joint. Yeah, so my IG is underscore Atlas ATLAS 007. And yeah, that's pretty much the best way to reach me. You can DM me and say, you saw me on the podcast, or if you want to learn more information about the mentorship or the investor program, uh, my link tree is right on my Instagram. So you can just click on the link tree and then you can, book a consultation if you want to talk to me one on one, or you can just go straight to the website. It's all in the link tree. So again, the Instagram is underscore ATLAS 007. Atlas 007.
Amazing. Well, I want to thank you guys for definitely just being here today. I love the commitment. I always tell people I don't like the word 100% or 110% commitment because if you add words like that to commitment, then you take away the value of the word, right? So I really appreciate the commitment and y'all time for today. Um, Everyone definitely reach out to them if you're interested in trucking. I would love to have you guys back just in case people have questions because I mean, again, you guys taught me a lot today. So, yeah, I mean, thank you so much.
You set the time and the place, we'll be
Say
there.
the word.
I
That's it.
definitely. All right, all right. Well, anyways, thank you all for tuning in to the Millennial Network podcast. Remember, your network is your net worth. And it's your girl, Coach Danny Renee, and I'm out.